In a quiet town, the tranquility of the local police station was abruptly interrupted when a little girl arrived screaming, "Please, please arrest my father." This unexpected request left everyone perplexed, without imagining that the reason behind that action would shock everyone deeply. On a radiant Thursday morning, tranquility reigned at the São Miguel police station. The fans turned lazily, struggling to alleviate the stifling heat, while the police officers sipped their coffee and leafed through reports with disinterest. It was a typical calm day, a reflection of the serene nature of the city. However, this peace was abruptly interrupted. The police station doors were opened with surprising force, revealing the figure of a girl with blonde hair and wide eyes, marked by terror. She ran in, her eyes swollen from crying, looking around desperately, looking for something or someone. It was Sophia, a child of just 7 years old, remarkably small for her age and visibly terrified. Without hesitation, the girl advanced towards the reception, her small feet making a rhythmic sound against the cold ceramic floor. With her little hands, she held on to the counter with all the strength she had, struggling to raise herself high enough to get the attention of an adult who could offer her help. "Please, please arrest my father," she whispered, with a trembling voice full of despair that reverberated throughout the room, capturing the immediate attention of all the police officers present. At first, there was visible confusion between them. They exchanged looks full of perplexity, while some interrupted their coffee breaks, putting their glasses aside, and others momentarily abandoned the documents with which they were committed. The girl's statement sparked an immediate uproar, stirring the atmosphere at the police station with a mix of urgency and concern. She looked at the officers, her eyes brimming with anguish, and begged again. "You need to arrest him. He has to go to jail." At the same moment, Agent Claudia, a young police officer with a kind look, ran to the scene. Attracted by the desperate plea that spread to her room, she came to help. With a gesture full of maternal care, she took Sophia's hand and led her to a nearby bench. "Calm down, young lady. Come here. Sit here," she said, bending down to be at eye level with the girl, trying to bathe her in a feeling of safety. "Everything's fine now, okay? You're safe here with us." He spoke sweetly, running his hand through Sophia's hair in an attempt to ease her fear. Sophia, in turn, felt her heart beating frantically. Her shoulders shook involuntarily and tears rolled down her face. The situation wrapped her in a blanket of vulnerability and fear, making every heartbeat a palpable reminder of her uneasy state. Meanwhile, one of the police officers present maintained his posture, trying to convey an aura of security and understanding. He leaned toward her, his voice tinged with a comforting softness. "What happened, dear? There's no need to cry, you're safe with us. Can you tell us what happened?" His words, although filled with comforting intentions, seemed to float aimlessly, unable to penetrate the invisible barrier that surrounded the frightened girl. She clung to Claudia's shirt, her eyes still wide open and teary, as the police station hall was invaded by an atmosphere full of confusion and concern. All around, each police officer exchanged uneasy glances, reflecting a mixture of curiosity and alarm. Murmurs circulated discreetly, fueled by the question that silently echoed between them. What did that girl's father do? However, most poignant was the evidence that Sophia's words brought too heavy a burden to her young shoulders, an emotional burden that no being of her young age should bear. Agent Claudia, still sitting next to the little girl, displayed a mixture of determination and compassion. She leaned towards Sophia, trying once again to break through the barrier of pain and silence that surrounded her. "Let's go, darling," she said in a soft voice, an attempt to offer comfort, while gently trying to dry the tears that insisted on tracing paths down Sophia's face. Her calm voice tried to convey a silent promise of safety and understanding, hoping to calm the emotional storm raging across the girl. Delegate Goncalves, an imposing man with silver hair meticulously combed back, stood up from his desk with a posture that denoted authority. With measured steps, he approached the little girl. His imposing presence filled the space with a mix of respect and expectation as he tried to unravel the enigma before him. "Hello, little girl," he said. His deep voice echoed with an unexpected cordiality. "What are you doing here alone? Why did you come here, huh?" The girl's breathing, rapid and broken by sobs, betrayed her deep anguish. Even in the center of a circle of protective figures, there was a gleam of vulnerability in their eyes, a reflection of fear that transcended the physical safety of their surroundings. Each sob was a palpable reminder of her plight, a raw expression of a young heart facing a harrowing reality, wrapped in a cloak of insecurity that not even the walls of the police station seemed to dispel. Despite the questions, Sophia remained quiet and with her head down. Gradually, a growing wave of police officers, driven by both curiosity and concern, began to surround the girl, forming a semicircle around her. With a voice that carried the intention of calming and reassuring, the deputy leaned in again and questioned, "Come on, pretty lady. You can tell us what happened at your house." Sophia made an attempt to respond, but the words she tried to form were interrupted, emerging in a truncated and confused way. "Arrest him. He can't stay home with me. I want him to go to jail, please," he pleaded, with a tone of voice that carried a mix of desperation and urgency. Her plea resounded with a force that amplified the feeling of fear among everyone present, making the gravity of the situation palpable in the girl's broken words. Noticing the growing crowd of curious agents who crowded around with a concern that threatened to intimidate little Sophia even more, the police and the chief made a prompt decision. They concluded that it was essential to change the environment to a space that offered more privacy and safety for the girl to express herself. With delicacy and a clear intention to protect her from further stress, they decided to take her to the interrogation room. This choice reflected not only a strategy to preserve Sophia's emotional integrity, but also an effort to ensure that her voice, however fragile it seemed, was heard with the attention and seriousness that the situation demanded. "Come, my dear," said the policewoman, in a soft tone of voice, as she gently helped the girl to her feet. "Let's go somewhere quieter and talk. Okay?" When settling down on the chair in the room intended for more reserved conversations, the little girl seemed to find a certain comfort, a temporary relief that made her relax slightly. Noticing this change, the police officer took advantage of the moment to try to deepen the conversation. "Tell me, Sophia, what happened? Did your father do you any harm? Did he do something to hurt you?" Claudia, with a mix of delicacy and determination, hoped to obtain some concrete clue that could guide her action. However, when trying to articulate a response, Sophia's expression turned into visible frustration, a clear sign of her internal struggle to express such complex and painful feelings. "Dad gets mad sometimes." Sophia's words trailed off, disappearing before completing the thought, leaving a dense cloud of uncertainty and speculation in the environment. "How does he get mad, honey?" she asked the police officer with a voice that mixed concern and softness. At that moment, the room was filled with expectant silence. The police officers there, with their minds in a frenzy, began to piece together this dark enigma, imagining scenarios that none of them wanted to confront. They questioned whether they were facing a case of domestic violence or abuse. What would be so serious that a child would seek refuge at the police station and beg for his own father to be detained? The deputy, noticing the weight of the moment and the sadness in Sophia's eyes when she mentioned her father, bent down to be at the girl's eye level. With a soft voice, he tried to convey reassurance and understanding. "We'll help you, Sophia," he said gently, "but for that I need you to try to tell us a little more. Okay?" Sophia, still fighting to contain her tears, nodded in agreement, a simple but significant gesture that demonstrated her trust in those who were willing to help her. "So come on, I'm going to ask you some questions and you can answer with yes or no. Okay?" The delegate proposed, seeking to make it easier for Sophia to express her experience, trying to find a way for her to share her story without feeling overwhelmed. Goncalves, seeking to clarify the situation, asked delicately, "Is your father home now?" "Okay," Sophia murmured in a brief response that showed her distress. "And how did you manage to leave the house?" He continued, encouraging her to share more. Drying the tears that still insisted on falling, Sophia revealed, "Dad was sleeping. I unlocked the door and ran here." The police chief and the police officer, concentrating on unraveling the girl's confusing narrative, were looking for details that could clarify the case. With a voice filled with motherly care, the police officer asked, "Sophia, is her father very aggressive? Does he hit you?" Sophia's hesitation before answering was palpable, as if she weighed each word. I've been beaten a few times," she confessed, her breathing quickening. Sophia's response intensified the agent's concern, exacerbating the already tense atmosphere. They inquired about his home address. Even without knowing precise details, the directions provided by Sophia were enough to locate where she and her father lived, in an area close to a stream polluted by sewage, making it easier to identify the residents. When the deputy asked about Sophia's mother, the atmosphere became even heavier. Daddy said she went for a walk but never came back. The simplicity with which Sophia reported her mother's disappearance petrified everyone present. The gravity of the situation became increasingly evident, with the conclusion that they were facing a case of family violence, aggravated by the strange circumstance of a man raising his daughter without the presence of her mother and claiming that she had gone for a walk. The police station quickly became an epicenter of frenetic activity. Agents ran from side to side, coordinating efforts and urgently outlining action plans. A team was promptly organized to head to Sophia's residence, mentally preparing themselves to face the worst possibilities. The deputy, recognizing the seriousness of the situation, grabbed the radio with determination and established contact with the vehicle already on its way to the address provided. His voice, firm and clear, conveyed the urgency of the moment. "Attention unit, we have a possible 10 to 32 code for domestic violence. It is crucial that the suspect does not find any openings to escape. Proceed with all necessary caution." This instruction was not just standard procedure. It reflected the seriousness with which the police station treated cases of mistreatment, emphasizing the importance of acting prudently to ensure the safety of everyone involved, especially Sophia. With her voice still shaking, Sophia continued to report, her words filled with fear. "Every night he gets nervous, he says he can't take it anymore." The police officers present exchanged worried glances, each trying to understand the depth of what Sophia was trying to express with her words filled with anguish. Given the seriousness of the insinuations, the delegate intervened, seeking to clarify. "What does her father say he can't take anymore, Sophia?" The deputy's words seemed to touch a sensitive point, as the girl's eyes filled with tears again, and she revealed it with a simplicity that broke the heart. "He knocked hard on the refrigerator door. I was scared." At that moment, a silent understanding spread among everyone present. The reality of the situation became clear and unequivocal. Little Sophia was the victim defending a man whose violence could no longer be ignored. The need to intervene has become more urgent than ever. It was imperative to act to protect the girl and stop whoever was responsible for her suffering. While the police station was preparing for the suspect's arrival, in another scenario, at Sophia's residence, Jose was immersed in a deep sleep. The silence of his home was abruptly broken by the screeching sound of police vehicles that parked in front of the address. The sight that unfolded before the agents was heartbreaking. A wooden house, with paint worn away by time, cobwebs adorning forgotten corners and tall grass surrounding the perimeter, giving the place an almost sinister air. Without hesitation, the police broke down the front door, invading the space with resolute authority, announcing their presence with firm commands for Jose to surrender. Taken by surprise, he barely had a chance to process what was happening before he was handcuffed and led away, his confusion expressed in protests. "What is happening? Why am I being arrested?" One of the police officers, with pragmatic coolness, informed him of his rights while directing him to the police car. Upon hearing the word police station, Jose backed away, confusion giving way to panic. Police station. No, I didn't do anything. Let me go. I have a child at home. Let me go. Jose's attempt to resist was quickly contained by the agents, who, with cutting harshness, revealed the reason for his arrest. His daughter Sofia is at the police station. The house fell, friend. Come on, get in there. As he was pushed into the vehicle, the reality of the situation began to penetrate his fog of confusion. My daughter? What is she doing there? Tell me. Fear took over him as he was told to shut up, and the car drove off towards the police station. Worry and fear invaded Jose, his heart beating at a frantic pace, as he desperately tried to understand what had happened to his daughter Sofia. At the police station, the deep sound of the car's engine signaled the team's return from Sofia's residence. Expectation was heavy in the air, with all agents lined up in palpable tension, awaiting news of the operation. But when the vehicle door opened, what was revealed defied preconceived expectations. From that vehicle did not emerge the imposing figure of an attacker as many imagined, but rather that of a thin man whose disheveled appearance gave away his condition. With pale skin, sunken eyes marked by fatigue and muscles that betrayed a possible state of malnutrition, Jose looked like a shadow of despair. His clothes, worn and dirty, were a mirror of an existence marked by severe difficulties, painting a picture of reality that contrasted with the accusations of violence. The sight of Jose, still handcuffed, caused murmurs among those present at the police station. How could this man, apparently so fragile and weakened, be capable of inflicting physical harm on his own daughter? This doubt hovered in the whispered conversations, while he, confused and visibly desperate, questioned why he was there. What is happening? Why am I here? Jose's voice, trembling with uncertainty and fear, echoed in the room, leaving a trail of questions about the true nature of the events that led to that situation. When Jose finally saw Sofia, a whirlwind of emotions invaded him. An immense relief, mixed with an even greater concern, took over his being. In turn, Sofia, upon seeing her father in that vulnerable state, did not hesitate. Contrary to all the expectations of those present, she ran across the room and threw herself into her father's arms. "Daddy!" she shouted, her eyes shining with tears, as she threw herself into an embrace filled with emotions. Jose's eyes, unable to contain the rising tide of feelings, also filled with tears. The scene before the police officers was, to say the least, disconcerting. "I thought he mistreated the girl," commented the deputy, his voice tinged with surprise and reflection, as he approached police officer Claudia. Both shared a look of disbelief at the unfolding of events. Jose, still trying to understand the complexity of the situation he found himself in, asked with a mix of confusion and despair, "What? Mistreat? What are you talking about? Why am I here in handcuffs? What is my daughter doing in this police station?" The interaction between father and daughter, amid such severe circumstances, cast a light of doubt on the initial assumptions, suggesting that the reality of Sofia and Jose's story could be very different from what was initially imagined. But then why had Sofia reported him? Those present in the room exchanged confused looks, searching each other's expressions for any clue as to what to do next. It was in this moment of uncertainty that Sofia's thin and innocent voice cut through the heavy silence that surrounded everyone. "I was the one who asked you to be arrested, Dad," she said, her eyes full of hope directed at Jose. "But why? What did I do, daughter?" Jose questioned, her heart beating wildly, confusion and fear evident in her voice. The perplexity was palpable on the man's face, as he alternated his gaze between his daughter and the police officers, in a frantic attempt to piece together this unexpected reality. The police station, previously a scene of tension and confusion, fell into absolute silence. Jose, still unable to make sense of the situation or understand the reason for his handcuffs, turned to his daughter again, his eyes overflowing with concern and sadness. "My daughter, what do you mean by I ordered you to be arrested? Why would you do that?" Sophia, fighting the lump in her throat, raised her face to look at her father, and with emotion so deep that she could barely hold back the tears, she whispered almost inaudibly, I just wish that you could eat, Daddy." This simple confession reverberated around the room like a shocking revelation, leaving everyone speechless. Sophia continued, her voice shaking with the strength of the feeling that drove her. "I saw it on TV, Dad. They said that in prison people receive food 3 times a day." Sophia's statement shed new light on the situation, a truth as unexpected as it was moving, revealing the depths of concern and love a daughter could feel for her father. Tears slid freely down Sophia's face, each drop reflecting the purity of her broken heart. I remember that night when," she began, her voice choked with emotion, "that I heard you crying. You were in the kitchen, the fridge was open, and you were so sad, Daddy, asking why there was no food. You hit the fridge and screamed." A deep silence fell over the room. Everyone present was immobilized by the gravity of the girl's confession. The stark reality of her home life, marked by hunger and despair, was now evident to all. Jose, faced with astonished looks, felt compelled to explain, his voice carrying a weight that only the truth can have. He began to clarify the situation, unraveling the mystery that had left everyone perplexed. With each word, the fog of doubts dissipated, revealing the sad reality of his struggle against extreme poverty, a scenario where the absence of food became a daily torment. Jose's story, told between sobs and pauses to swallow hard, was not only a story of adversity, but also a testimony to the desperate love of a daughter who, in her innocence, saw in prison a solution to satisfy her father's hunger. The revelation, as painful as it was touching, left everyone in the room deeply moved, faced with the harsh reality of a family in crisis. It was the story of an immeasurable sacrifice, of a father who, despite his own hunger, prioritized feeding his daughter as the ultimate expression of his unwavering love. Jose, facing life as a single father since the death of his wife, had constructed a delicate reality to protect Sophia. He invented the story that the girl's mother had gone for a walk, in an attempt to spare her daughter the harsh truth of her permanent loss, without imagining that this would feed a vain hope in her little heart. The family's financial situation was precarious, exacerbated by Jose's lack of professional qualifications and prolonged absence from employment. Every resource he got was used to buy food, enough for just one, and he did not hesitate to dedicate every ounce of food to his daughter. The result was her own increasing malnutrition, a reality of which Sophia was painfully aware. Jose's despair reached unbearable peaks after dark, when Sophia was asleep. On one such night, faced with an empty refrigerator, frustration consumed him and he took out his anger on the refrigerator door, shouting about the injustice of not being able to provide for his daughter. Sophia, having woken up and witnessed this explosion of despair, was scared and ran back to her room, but the scene was recorded in her mind, making her aware of the hunger her father was facing. Then one morning, after running out of scarce supplies, Sophia turned on the TV hoping to watch a cartoon, but instead came across a local news broadcast discussing conditions in the penitentiaries. The only information she captured was that prisoners receive meals 3 times a day. In the innocence of her young age, Sophia saw this as a desperate solution to her father's persistent hunger. It was this revelation that motivated her to rush to the police station, driven by the naive belief that by having her father arrested, he would finally have access to regular meals. The scene was desolate. Jose, with tears marking paths on his face, drew his daughter into an enveloping and protective hug. "Forgive me, daughter. I'm sorry about that," he murmured, his voice choked with emotion. The police officers present, many of them parents, felt their hearts sink. The circumstances in front of them served as a cruel mirror, reflecting the adversities that plague countless families, particularly in times of economic crisis. What had initially been approached as a potential case of domestic violence was now revealed to be an acute portrait of the realities faced by those on the margins of society. The investigation had transformed, unfolding into a powerful reminder of human fragility and the daily struggle against poverty. Released, Jose and Sofia returned home, their hearts filled with renewed and intense love for each other. However, the next dawn held a surprise for them that was as unexpected as it was welcome. The two were awakened by firm knocking on the door. Upon opening it, they found themselves in front of a scene they could never have imagined. Several members of the community, accompanied by police officers from the station, brought baskets full of food, new clothes, and toys. Jose and Sofia's eyes shone with joy. While Sofia hurried to explore the toys, Jose couldn't contain the tears that welled up with emotion and gratitude. Before Jose could recover from his initial surprise, the delegate added an unexpected proposal. "We are looking for a janitor for the police station. Would you be interested?" More tears emerged in Jose's eyes, the impact of those people's generosity hitting him hard. Used to facing adversity alone, the solidarity shown was something he could barely dream of. I don't even know what to say. Yes, of course I accept. Thank you very much. May God give double to all of you. He managed to express emotion. At that moment, Sofia, attracted by the sight of the toys, ran to the door exclaiming with joy, "Look, Daddy, so many toys." "Yes, darling, they are all for you." Jose responded by drying his tears and sharing the pure happiness that overflowed his daughter's face. That day became a beacon of happiness and hope, a memorable reminder of the power of community and human compassion. In the week that followed, the police station, once a place Jose would never have imagined setting foot in, became his place of work, refuge, and the milestone of a new chapter in his life. As the days went by, the moving story of Sofia, who had her father arrested so he could eat, reverberated throughout the city, becoming a beacon of inspiration for the community to mobilize in favor of those most in need. Moved by little Sofia's story, groups of volunteers began to organize themselves, creating donation fairs and social assistance programs, with the aim of ensuring that no family suffered from hunger or a lack of basic resources. Sofia's simple gesture, driven by unconditional love for her father, ended up transforming the entire community, bringing help to several needy families. Thanks for watching. Comment below what you thought of this story and which city you are watching us from. Leave your like and subscribe to our channel so that together we can build a huge community that shares inspiring stories. Until later.